Okay, let's see. What do we have in here? What is this? This looks like bourbon. Yeah. We'll see what James thinks about our collection.
I'm Janie Rich, Editor-in-Chief of Flamingo. Today, I'll be sitting down with James Ashcraft. James is the founder of the Bourbon Enthusiast and the premier reviewer of American whiskey. Today, James will be sharing his tips with us on his favorite bourbons, from small batch blends to classics that everyone knows and loves. We'll also be understanding the hype around Pappy Van Winkle and maybe even getting a Kentucky hug. So pour yourself a glass, kick back, and enjoy. Welcome, James.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the first installment of our Flocktail series.
Glad to be the first. I'm born and raised in Jacksonville, kind of on the south side, Mandarin side of town. Family grew up in, the family business, which is dock building. Probably since I could carry a board, I was involved, and then really kind of worked my way up into the company. We held a diaper bash at the house. I think it was late 2015. I had a very small collection going, and then
what does very small mean?
It wasn't much. It was probably under 10, maybe 15 bottles that I had, and then we had that diaper bash, and it was my wife encouraged everybody to bring a bottle of bourbon along with the diapers, and then that event we probably got left with 20 to 30 bottles. Early 2016, I think it was right around January 1st, I looked up see if there was a bourbon handle available on social media, found the Bourbon Enthusiast was available, claimed that, and then
it's a great name. And
then reviews started pouring out that way. It was always my dream to kind of go to distilleries, be able to pick my own barrel, have it bottled, and it would say the Bourbon Enthusiast on it, and then, it's the actual barrel, I picked. Wild Turkey, which also makes the premium line, Russell's Reserve is kind of their premium bourbon line. They're master distilleries, third generation, second generation, and there's also the son who's coming up in the business. I will say that's probably one of my favorite experiences. We go, like I said, we go to one of the oldest rickhouses in Kentucky. The master distiller, his son are meeting me there every single time. They pull in, sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 barrels that are just dumped located in that warehouse that morning where they brought them there for this tasting. And then we'll just walk around, popping them open, tasting them all. I've selected barrels as young as 4 years. I've selected barrels as old as 16 years. And then that oak interaction can do a number of things on the bourbon. So what I really want to find is balance. And balance in bourbon to me kind of means that it's not going to blow you away with heat. It's not going to scorch your taste buds or your throat. But what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of flavors and maybe some heat on the back end. So I want everything to be balanced, where you get a nice medley of flavors and maybe some heat. They call it the Kentucky hug. That's really what I look for. I just try to give people the words that I would want to know. Is it drink a lot hotter than its proof? Do you think it should have been sweeter? Should it have been a little more spice? And then I try to list the notes on there that I think everybody can pick apart. You can get really fancy with tasting notes. You can come up with all kinds of crazy things I've seen written. But I really try to just, keep it to what I think the common person, could really pick apart and taste out of it.
Well, on that note, I've read a little bit about and I've heard through the years, even just as a casual layperson when it comes to bourbon, but the whole hype around Pappy Van Winkle, and I saw some notes that just said like, stop asking for Pappy. What's the deal with Pappy?
Every retailer can't stand that question. I mean, they get hundreds of calls, especially around this time of year. That's when Pappy's released. And the deal is I think it was in the late 90s. It scored one of the highest ratings any whiskey's ever got. I think it was 99, I think was the rating, and it was the highest score any whiskey had ever got. And really, the difference with Pappy is it's made by Buffalo Trace, which is a huge brand, huge company. Sazerac owns them all. But it's, instead of, your typical bourbons have rye, you got corn, rye, barley. And what they did is they substitute the rye with a wheat grain, giving it a softer, what they say is a sweeter profile. And it's developed a crazy cult-like following, probably since that point when it got that review. you know, I would say probably 8 years ago or so, it could be readily found, but now there's not a chance. I mean, people line up, you know, miles to buy that stuff.
Well, let's taste some whiskey.
Sounds
Let's
good
taste
to
some
me.
bourbons.
I can do that, good.
We can keep chatting.
Yeah, definitely.
As I mentioned, I'm kind of a lay person when it comes to bourbon, so
We'll do small pours because we got some to get through.
yes. My experience with bourbon probably dates back, maybe like you, to college days and the whole Jack and Coke, football games, that's my memory.
Right.
My first sort of bourbon memory, but.
Yeah, so this is the spirit straight up, so.
Okay.
Or neat,
Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Now, how do you?
So you can do the swirl. Some people call that agitating the whiskey.
Okay, so that's not a good
well,
thing.
it's
Like
you got camps in both. So I say you do it how you want. But yeah, typically, you know, you nose it first and kind of get some of the aromas, and then if you kind of open your mouth just a little, it helps disperse the alcohol and helps you pick up more of those notes. And that first sip, if you're not used to drinking bourbon, it's going to have the heat.
Right,
And
but not too bad. Not too bad at all.
And so it'll kind of subside there, kind of with the next sip and probably the third sip.
Okay, I can feel it definitely. Like my throat has a little warm.
Yeah, so that's the
warmness to
Kentucky
it now
hug.
that we didn't have.
That's the Kentucky hug.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's delayed.
So yeah,
It's not like immediate,
yeah,
but.
so that's the finish.
Yeah, FSU, we learned how to drink
have to finish
our
it.
spirits right.
So the next, this is Widow Jane's Lucky 13, but it's kind of what I call like a sweet oak. It's not the tannic, it's not bitter. So you got caramels, vanillas,
Everybody else
some brown sugars.
getting thirsty over there. So it's similar, I guess. I think I can only relate it to wine. I mean, of course, I've done the wine tours and that kind of thing, and so I think of oak and I think of Chardonnay, or is it almost like that kind of preference in bourbon, if it's the oakiness that people are drawn to or not drawn to?
Very much so. So a lot of people actually like younger stuff because of the less oak interaction.
Okay, great. And so this one is an oaky, more of an oaky variety.
This is what I say is more oak forward. This one's not bad. I think this is in the $50 range, maybe $55. The barrel proof version can fetch about 70 bucks.
The pours get bigger as the tasting continues.
I'll try to keep going.
Is this your dog?
So this is not my dog. So this is a private barrel that I selected earlier this year. So we had a group of guys, you know, there was a couple guys with me on this selection in Kentucky at Four Roses, and one of the members almost didn't make it. He had just lost his dog. You know, he had I think 11, 12 years, and so. You know, he ended up coming on the trip, and it was a great thing to kind of help get his mind off of it. Not only that, Four Roses was his favorite distillery, so that's basically why he was invited out to it. And so, you know, on that trip, you know, I think after we did the selection, we were at lunch or something, and we were talking about it and going through pictures, and he showed us pictures of his dog that he just lost and things like that, and came across a painting that his wife had did. The bottle showed up, you know, at his house. You know, and so it was kind of, we called it Brody's Pick. That was the name of his dog.
Oh, that's so great.
You know, so that was just, it was an interesting way, and we thought, what a perfect little thing to do. So this is called OESV recipe, which they say is creamy and fruity. That is 110 proof you just drank.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one does have a little more of the heat, as you described.
Yep.
But I can feel the creaminess of it too.
Yeah.
How long does a tasting normally last for you?
People will not leave until I kick them out if I'm hosting a tasting.
Right.
So, you know, once the bourbon starts flowing, conversation, you know, but a couple hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But really, by the time you get to the sixth bottle, you may not be tasting too much. All right, another 110 proof. This is Russell's Reserve. So this is one of my favorite distilleries, and this is the one where I told you we can kind of meet with the master distiller, walk with the...
Okay, this is the Wild Turkey.
Yeah, Wild Turkey, go in the ancient rickhouses.
That's amazing.
Taste through them all. On this particular setting, I think I walked away with 2 barrels that I could not leave without. This was one of them. And this is also one that the master distiller called a chocolate covered cherry.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
This is the one.
This is the one.
Great, I'm excited.
has 110 proof too.
It's great. I'm looking for the cherry, the chocolate covered cherry in it.
So this one has got crazy popular this year, this brand. It's an MGP brand, so they're a non-distillate producer, kind of the same what
Okay,
Jane
and
is.
what is this one called again?
It's called Smoke Wagon.
Okay.
So they're out of Las Vegas.
Okay. I think I went down with the best.
Yeah?
Yeah. What do you call it when the lips start burning?
Oh, that's a
When you
tingler.
feel the heat
It's a
in the
tingler.
lips too.
If you want to learn more about James and the Bourbon Enthusiast, then check out the full story on flamingomag.com. Thanks for joining us.
Hey Jess, I think I'm gonna need a ride home.